Welcome to the Cross the Line Podcast. My name is Carlos Smith. We are here at the Ice House Comedy Club, the final night of the festival here in Pasadena, California. Right now, I have with me another comedian, very special guest, Mr. Danny Lane. Danny, how you doing?
Doing good.
And you just wrapped up one of your sets as well. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So how does it feel? Well, let's go to leading up to your performance. Like, were you nervous at all before you got out there?
I usually am. Yeah, I get a little jittery before shows. I can't really say why, but I usually feel like confident in my sets. But just pre-show jitters and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Did you get a chance to go into the green room and just meet any of the other comedians before you had a chance to?
Yes, that I do feel like always helps because I feel like a lot of the other comedians were very like cool, calm, collected, and
I would imagine it kind of like helps you puts you at ease, being able to network with these comedians. They have a sense of humor.
I started it in high school. We had like an improv troupe, and then each year we had a talent show. And my parents were like, "Well, you do improv. Why don't you give stand-up a whirl?" And then I did. And
were you always a kid? Like in school, were you like a class clown, or were you kind of like shy? And
I wouldn't say full class clown. I definitely wasn't trying to interrupt classes, I would say. But I would say definitely attempting to be witty with friends.
Was there anything else that kind of like grabbed your interest as far as like what you thought you might have been as a career growing up as a kid?
If I had to pinpoint like one thing that I think kind of launched me into comedy, it honestly may have just been like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler on like Weekend Update. I think I just really enjoyed seeing them perform together, and they just seemed like great friends too, so they just naturally had so much fun.
So how old were you when you moved from Wisconsin to actually Chicago?
I moved from Wisconsin to Chicago after I graduated college, so I guess when I was like 22, 20. Yeah.
How would you describe the comedy scene in Chicago as opposed to where you were originally from in Wisconsin?
I'd say it's definitely a bit more established, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think Milwaukee's still kind of like growing into what it can become. But I think Chicago, there are just so many people and doing comedy and places to do it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a pretty welcoming community, which has been very nice.
So did you, working a traditional, 9 to 5 anything, did you feel like, comedy was just like more of your purpose than anything else?
I think so. I had worked some like kind of stressful jobs pre-pandemic and during the pandemic, and now I work at a gym for most of the time during the week, and it's fairly like a little more calm than I'd say other jobs, and it allows me to still do comedy and stuff at night. So
what was your, I guess, what would that initial conversation like with family as far as like, doing comedy, or was it like a shock to them, or how did they take it?
They have been oddly supportive throughout all of this. Like, my parents just like somehow knew that I just like wanted to perform, and like encouraged me to audition for the improv group, and then encouraged me to do stand-up, and then just kind of snowballed from there.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what your first show was like when you did comedy?
Go
ahead and talk about it. Go ahead and talk about it.
There is recording of my first time doing stand-up, and it's I was a 17-year-old doing stand-up, so I wouldn't say I'd use any of the jokes nowadays, but I think it was fine for the time.
It's good to see that journey, man. Like I tell everybody, everything that I've ever recorded at first I didn't have cameras or anything, but I didn't have any cameras or anything, but I recorded myself because I wanted to, go back in time and just look and see where I started and where I came from. So it's good to kind of like document everything that you
Yes.
have going on. So it's
Yeah. I
So-
never really thought about it like that.
absolutely, and of course, I'm pretty sure you see the growth in when you first started to where you are now.
Yeah.
So how
For
long
sure.
have you been active? Would you say like officially been like active like in comedy? Like, would you say?
I think I like started actually finally calling myself a comedian probably like 2-3 years ago. Um, I think I didn't for whatever reason in college fully like commit to that title. I think just because I was still actively in school, but yeah,
And what did you take up in college?
advertising.
Advertising.
Yes.
So you still, in a sense, putting yourself out there, but now you're just a comedian.
Yeah, can't say I'm pursuing advertising now, but
Right.
we got the degree, and I think that's
Absolutely.
what matters.
For me, I tell people, like I'm thankful my parents took out loans for me to go to school and get my degree. But knowing what I know now, I don't know necessarily if I would go back and do it all over again. Maybe I probably would do things a lot differently, knowing what I know now.
Yeah.
How was that process for you as far as like putting this together? Coming out here for the festival.
So I think I heard about this on like a Facebook group or like via Instagram somehow. People will just like post like, hey, like taking submissions for like this comedy festival, and yeah, I just submit and hope for the best and kind of wait for an email back, and then
Absolutely, and I know it's got to be a beautiful feeling for someone to give you that opportunity, to do what you love and come out here
yeah.
and share your story as well. How do you approach it when you're on the stage by yourself and all eyes are on you, and you have only a short amount of time because so many people are taking the stage? Like, what's your mindset if you're going out there and trying to get the audience ready?
I think just as maybe corny as it sounds, is just like being yourself and kind of like committing to the things that I've prepared to say. Like at the end of the day, like if the audience doesn't find it funny, that's a-okay, but I at least did, and if I have confidence in what I'm saying, then odds are they'll at least see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite part of being a comedian?
That's a great question. I do. I mean, it is just so fun and exhilarating, like being on stage and getting laughs. I think that's why a lot of us do it, but also it is so fun getting to meet these other comedians and just like getting to make friends that are funny. It's fun having people that can make you laugh in your life.
Do you study other comedians? Maybe not. Maybe they don't have to be here, but just maybe some comedian on TV or somebody just study. Do you study other comedians just to see how like their delivery is and how their body language is? Do you study?
I think so. I think in my mind, I've taken a lot of inspiration on how I speak to the audience from like Beth Stelling. I don't think I am exactly like her, but I do like kind of.
What advice would you give them?
I mean, I feel like people often say like, oh, like just start, just do it. But I think if like you're nervous to just kind of like make that final leap, is just maybe asking like a close friend or someone you trust and be like, hey, I have this idea, I want to do X, Y, Z. And oftentimes if they, I feel like, yeah, most of the time people will be like, oh yeah, you should absolutely do it. And sometimes just like you might not be able to like push yourself, but having one other person be like, yeah, you should absolutely do that, can be the necessary push.
My last and final question, as we wrap this up, that I ask everyone at the end is, what does self-investment mean to you?
Sorry, what was that?
What does self-investment mean to you?
Self-investment. Wow, what does self-investment mean to me? Oh boy. Sorry.
Oh, you good. You good. Take your time. Take your time.
What does self-investment mean to me? I think just
Because clearly you're doing it right now because you live in Chicago, but you invested in yourself to come all the way out here. So you're already investing in yourself.
yeah, I think it's a combination of pursuing your goals and like striving for the things that you want.
Danny, thank you for taking the time to sit and join us. Before we get out of here, can you please tell everyone how to find you?
Sure thing. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at I am Danny Lang, and I believe that's it.
All right. Danny, thank you again for taking the time to sit and join us. So hopefully everyone enjoyed this episode of the Cross the Line podcast here at the Ice House Comedy Club in Pasadena, California. Till next time, keep chasing your dreams. Thank you for listening.